Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and this afternoon's community stream has made it a very busy afternoon for me indeed. I just put out my community stream reaction video, and now we are going through my poll plans for the month of July, which I'm going to admit this is going to be a very tough poll planning video because they've made so many changes, so I kind of had an idea of what I wanted to do this month, but now since there's so many change-ups, it's going to be a little bit harder, but there is going to be like a very for sure like must pull character this month I think everybody should go for. But for the rest of it, I mean, it's going to be a little bit up in the air. So what I want to at least do is talk about all the characters coming this month that we know about, a couple of speculative characters that I think are coming that we want to throw in there, right? Just to kind of go through that. Now, the one thing I'll address right away is Auron was not brought up at all, but I think he is coming. And if Auron does come this month, I would highly recommend him just because I feel like he's one of the better tanks in the game. And to get one of the best tanks in the game now with an FRBT, I think is a really, really strong thing. I think it's kind of like how valuable Rubicante is being an FRBT character and such as a good tank. So I would say Auron would be a great tank to pick up. So if you see him somewhere, I definitely would highly recommend him, right? But let's go over what we do know. So the first characters they did announce come out tomorrow night. And it's going to be Penelo and Aerith, and then there's also going to be another banner. There's going to be a lot dropping tomorrow. We'll say that right now. Now, Penelo and Aerith being a returning campaign banner. Now, what I've said in the past is I typically don't recommend these returning campaign characters because these are characters coming back with a rework. They're usually a little bit older. There's usually better things out there. Well, this banner would be the exception. This is actually an incredible banner to draw, and if you don't have Aerith and Penelo, I would actually highly, highly, highly recommend this banner. And I might recommend it over most of the new banners coming, which is kind of crazy. But if you guys have watched my videos for like 2 seconds, you see Aerith in like most of my videos. And before Aerith came out, Penelo was in like all of my videos. And Penelo really hasn't fallen off that much. And she doesn't have Echo, and it's totally fine. If you run a team with Penelo and 2 other Echoes, you're not really missing a beat because Penelo's Echo is so free. You just run her Echo as your main one. You can still Echo with the other 2 characters and do all kinds of insane things. So, this Penelo Aerith campaign banner and the fact that they're both on the same one, if you're like a new player, it's almost a must pull because these are 2 incredibly valuable, good characters that you're going to be able to use for a long time still, and they're incredible. So, for a campaign banner, this is about as good as it gets. I'm not going to lie. So definitely would highly, highly recommend that. Obvious skip for me and other veterans that already have these characters. But if you don't, it's almost a must pull. It's kind of crazy, actually. Then we have Yuffie and Yuri. Now, let me just talk about the characters here a little bit. So Yuri's a holy damage dealer. And I would say one of Yuri's biggest, I guess, assets is that holy damage isn't like the craziest thing. Like, there isn't a lot of holy damage in the game. And for me personally, I haven't been a big fan of a lot of the holy damage characters they brought out. I think Paladin Cecil is my favorite, but he's fallen on hard times and he's been unusable for a long time. So the one thing I would say for Yuri is like, if you're looking for a holy damage dealer, he's gonna be like the best one for sure. And, other than that though, like, he's gonna be okay, his damage is gonna be good, but like, dude, you're gonna see, dude, this month is so loaded. I don't know that like you have room to prioritize Yuri. I know there's a lot of people like Yuri, and if you want him and want to get him, like, his damage is gonna be good, his holy damage is great, he has very strong follow-up attacks, but it's not as like easy as other ones. Like, you kind of have to build up a buff and then it's stronger if that debuff is built up, whatever. But yeah, Yuri's very powerful, so if you want to get him, if you like him, you definitely can, right? But there's going to be some better damage dealers out there, we'll just put it that way. Yuffie now is definitely, like, she's definitely also not a must-pull. She is more of a niche character, but she does have a lot of unique utility that I think a lot of players like. And I personally think I am going to go for Yuffie because she's a big fan favorite character of mine. I like her a lot, and I think her kit is very fun. Her kit, she's really a debuffer, but she has a unique thing where she can throw your own debuffs back at the enemy, which can be quite powerful. And she kind of can dispel in a way because if enemies have non-frame buffs, she can literally throw down 8 debuffs at once. So the enemies, if they have a bunch of buffs on, provided they're not framed, she can just cover those with debuffs, which is really, really nice. She can also steal buffs off of the enemies. So just some very, very unique things there, right? Now, the big thing is that she's getting FRBT, right? And her BT gives her a very, very powerful HP plus attack with 9 dumps, and it's like full AoE. So like if you have her BT, she actually is going to deal really, really good damage, right? And then her FR conditions are going to be like, her FR conditions, let me just double check here. I got notes here, right? Oh, that's right. So the FR, it's similar to Sarah's, where you get more percent based on the number of debuffs, but it maxes at 40%. So provided the enemies are maxed on debuffs, it'll be a plus 40% there. And then if you attack a debuffed enemy, I believe, or no, if you attack a broken target, which is very easy. So the triggers are very easy, right? It's just the target has to be broken and they have to have debuffs on. So pretty easy targets. It's not a bad FR for sure. But overall, like, is Yuffie a character you're going to be clamoring to use in every fight? Probably not. And one big thing about Yuffie, I know throwing debuffs back at the enemy seems really busted, but a lot of times when the enemies put really like super nasty debuffs on you, they typically like negate the own debuff. So it is good because it will dispel the debuff from you, but really, really powerful debuffs, they typically make it so that enemies negate those so that you can't, because sometimes it's really unfair. There was some fights in the past you could cheese where the enemy would do like a really powerful like HP poison that would do like 30% of your health every turn. Well, Yuffie could throw that back and you basically waited 3 turns and the enemies were down 90% health and then you tap them for games. So they definitely like learned to like axe that on Yuffie. So just be wary. Don't think you're going to get Yuffie and like cheese the game. But like her overall kit, just using it normally, is still very good, right? Like, she's kind of like bulkier in that she can be kind of a buff debuff manager, and that's a very powerful thing to have. It's just Yuffie is definitely more of like your slot 3 utility type character. She's definitely not the first character you're going to pick on a team, but she can be very useful in that 3rd slot if you like the utility that she brings. And there's definitely fights that bring really nasty buffs to themselves and really nasty debuffs to you. So if you want to have a character that can deal with that, like if you didn't get Balthier, I think Yuffie's a little bit more valuable. But if you have a character like Balthier already, you definitely don't need her. So I would say, especially considering like the crazy stuff that's coming, this is probably going to be a skip, I would say, for most people. For me, though, I think I am going for Yuffie because I like her. She's a fan favorite. I got to go for my girl Yuffie. Now, this was a big one here. And this is what really kind of throws a kink in like my should you pull. Because we've got Lightning and Beatrix, and they're both very good characters, and they're coming 3 months early. So the fact that they're coming 3 months early means they're going to look really good in this time frame. So what you're going to get out of these characters is you're going to guaranteed get 3 months out of them, plus at least another month or two, because that's the normal longevity of a character, I would say, is a good solid month or two. So you're looking at characters that are going to be good for a bare minimum 5 months, probably. So you're going to get a lot of use out of these characters. A lot of people are familiar with them already, but Beatrix, like, I actually really like Beatrix, and if I were to pick between the two, I like Beatrix more than Lightning, just because her kit is the type of kit that has more longevity, and I think she's really fun to play. She's has very powerful follow-ups, and I love her follow-ups because they ignore defense and they dispel, which is really, really good. So it means they're always going to hit well, and they're going to be able to dispel buffs, which is a really powerful thing to have. She has a really good HP plus attack that gives you Holy Knight Safeguard, which makes it so you basically can't die. They can't deal HP damage to you. It only lasts 2 turns, but now she's getting a BT, and her BT effect makes it so her buffs don't decrease. So essentially, the way you use her is that you have her BT effect up with Holy Knight Safeguard. It's kind of a trend, because I felt this way with Rem and Iris, but it's another BT effect where you literally, I think you can't die, other than like an auto kill, because the enemies, any HP damage they try to throw at you will be 0 if you have Holy Knight Safeguard on. No, she's not the craziest damage dealer in the game, but her damage definitely gets a big bump here with the rework. But what's so great about Beatrix is she has healing, she does very good damage, and the Holy Knight Safeguard and the follow-ups are the 2 really big things I like about her. So Beatrix is going to be a nice character, and you're getting this character 3 months early, so she's scaled up. Like, she's going to be looking better than a lot of the characters. So, yeah, definitely something to think about. And then we have Lightning. She's, a lot of you are familiar with her, but she has instant break, she has rebreak, or not instant break, but she has like rebreak, and then when she breaks, she gets free turns. So she's a very speedy character. She steals a lot of turns. She does a lot of attacks. Her BT effect is going to keep charging her EX, and her EX is really powerful because it has auto break, instant break, re-break, all that crazy stuff. It basically is going to break every time you touch it. And it's going to push the enemies back. She's got some delay in her kit. So Lightning is a very good character if you like to no-turn bosses and not let them get turns. Have Lightning steal the show, do a lot of stuff, right? Her FR is actually a very easy condition as well. It's just dealing lightning damage and attacking a broken enemy. So it's the type of FR that caters well to not letting the enemies take turns. You can just be very aggressive, not only with Lightning, but with the rest of your party. So this is a banner where, like, if it was dropping at their normal time, I would say, yeah, there's some value in Beatrix, but you might not want to go for them. But now, the fact that it's coming 3 months early, I think there could be some value here just because you're getting characters that are going to look a little bit stronger than they should for this time period. So I actually think I could recommend pulling on these characters if you want them. Now, Beatrix and Lightning are very popular characters, so most veteran players will have both of these characters fully built, right? So if you're in the position I'm in, it's basically you would just need Lightning's FR because that's completely new and Beatrix BT. So what I'm planning to do is I'm going to pull on the Beatrix side, go for the BT while hoping to snag the Lightning FR. That's my plan. So I am going to plan to pull on this because it's just too tempting not to get characters this early. I think it is worth it. No, they're not going to be the best damage dealers. I think the last character in the slide is going to be the best one still. But this is a really nice banners you could pull on for sure, just because they're coming so early. Then we have Ace and Braska. Ace is a trap-based character who he always does really well when he comes back and gets reworks because traps are a very powerful mechanic. He does have an off-turn FR, which is really, really fun. It's just off-turn magic damage. So you could combo him with other magic damage dealers that deal off-turn damage, like, say, Minwoo, for example, and get a lot of work out of that, right? So yeah, Ace is really fun. His damage gets a huge upgrade, right? He does get an FR here. Basically, it'll scale on off-turn magic attacks, and then if you have a level-based buff on, so as long as your character has that, you'll get pretty good gains there. So yeah, Ace is going to be a really fun character. His damage is going to increase. Should you necessarily pull for him? I think this banner with Ace and Braska is definitely very skippable. I don't think either of these are must-pulls. Braska is a healing battery type character, definitely big time support character, but does carry fire damage, right? And Braska is one of the oldest FR characters in the game. I think he was the second ever FR character. So what's happening here with his FR boards is he actually gets his FR conditions just get big upgrades to the percentages. So now instead of doing like 20% a turn, he's doing like 70%, which is like a standard character, right? But yeah, if you need like a healer force charging character, you could go for Braska. But dude, already like I would still take Aerith from the campaign banner over Braska, right? I would almost even take Penelo, to be honest, but Braska is getting a rework here, so he's going to be a lot better if you like him. But overall, I would say, because, like, you know, Ace, the traps are really cool. I do really like Ace, but he's definitely not a must-get, and I have, you know, for me personally as a veteran, I've got a lot of characters that can do things like Ace in terms of off-turn damage, and I have bigger powerhouse DPS characters. In Braska, like, there's just been so many crazy good supports that I don't know that you need Braska either. Now, if you like these characters, once again, any character's going to be good if you max them out. But to me, I'm going to say this one's a skip here. Okay, now, I am going to pull out some speculation here. This question mark banner, who knows? It is an intersecting will, so if they're just going to go with the next intersecting will on the timeline, it would be Seproth, which once again is a 3-month plus early character, like very, very early. He's like due in October, so he's over 3 months early. Well, I guess it's mid-July, so it would probably be about the same, probably about a 3-month time skip. Seproth, the thing with him, dude, with his rework, like, his attacks are doing so many dumps, it's crazy. He gets, like, 7 dumps on his 15, 10 dumps on his 35, 9 dumps on his EX, 8 dumps on his LD. I mean, Seproth is going to be dishing out some mad damage. He does have a very powerful gold debuff he throws down on the enemies. His FR condition is just having a debuffed enemy and having a level buff on yourself, which he has, like, with his Octaslash and stuff. But, yeah, Seproth he's a pretty straightforward damage dealer, but the big thing I've always loved about Seproth is his BT effect, which always resets the enemy's Brave down to 1, and he's quite powerful with a character like Dorgan or characters that get effects on break. So, Seproth is going to be a ridiculously nice damage dealer if you want to get him, and I would say you know, if Seproth is actually here, once again, nowhere near confirmed, have no idea. But I'm just saying, if it is like the natural next intersecting wills, that's why I'm talking about him. I would probably take him over Lightning and Beatrix in terms of damage. I think he's going to be a really, really good damage dealer here. And I know Seproth is a big-time fan favorite. So if you want to jump in and grab him, if he's here, definitely could be a good one. But we really don't know. The other, I think, possibility that could be here, they could just toss in a Global First Echo. I actually could see it. The more I think about it, I'm kind of talking myself into it. But we'll see, right? So this is definitely a big mystery. Who knows? Then the 6 Warrior Quest Area 7. This is another one they did leave as a mystery, but I'm pretty confident they're just going to stick with the 6 Warrior Quest normal characters. But they definitely could change it up. But if they stick with what JP had here, once again, this is a big time skip. But this would be Sid Reigns and Quistis. Now, Sid Reigns, we all know how good Sid Reigns is. He's a really powerful single target damage dealer with launching. I would say next to Vaughn and Tifa, like he's right there for like top tier single target damage dealers in the game. The big thing to note about Reigns is I think he does have one of the best calls in the game. So if you don't have Reigns' LD, I really would try to get the LD. His call is way too valuable not to have. It helps get the most damage out of these big FR turns and burst phases that you're trying to do with these characters. So I would really highly recommend at least getting Reigns' LD here if you don't have it for the call, right? Then we have Quistis. And Quistis is just like the queen of delay. And dude, her FRBT seems really nasty to me, actually. And she's getting a lot of damage upgrades. Because right now her damage is pretty terrible. But she does get a lot more dumps. So her damage is going to go up and be competitive damage. The big thing, though, here with Quistis is the BT has like a stacking buff, right? And it stacks up to 5. And the way you increase the stacks is you just take consecutive party turns without giving the enemies turns. And she's a delay character, right? So they're promoting just delaying and not letting the enemies take turns, right? The thing that's really busted about her BT is that it makes it so every party member gets a 1-turn delay on any attack they do. And the thing with this delay and Quistis' delay is these delays cannot be negated. So what they typically will do on like a Quistis fight is the enemies will have framed turns. And normally when enemies have framed turns, you cannot delay them by breaking them or through a delay attack. Quistis negates that and she can delay anyways. And the BT gives the whole party 1-turn delays, right? So it's kind of crazy. And then the FR condition is just brave gaining and doing delay, right? So I don't necessarily think her FR is the one I would use as the main one. You definitely could, but it depends on what your party looks like. But if you love no-turning bosses, like Quistis is definitely the character to do it, because she's going to make sure you can always delay no matter what. Now, the way they're going to throw a kink in this is there are always bosses with interrupt attacks. There are bosses that can jump cut turns. So if you have Quistis, it doesn't automatically mean the bosses don't get actions. But if the bosses don't have those things or you have ways to deal with them, Quistis can be a lot of fun. Now, the one kind of thing I'll say about Quistis, she's a character that always seems super good when she comes out and a lot of fun. And they usually give a really hard, nasty fight that's really aggressive, and you just want to delay and not give the enemy's turn. So they make Quistis look really good, but then kind of after her event, for me at least, I kind of stopped using her like right away. So even though she's really cool and has a lot of delay, you have to think to yourself, how often are you going to want to use this strategy and how often are you going to put her in the party? If you're going to want to delay for days and like keep doing that, then you definitely can grab her. But I don't think she's a must pull by any means. But Reigns LD I think is a must pull to have on an account. So if you're pulling for the LD and you get Quistis stuff, like, that's awesome. Or if you pull and get Reigns stuff, like, Reigns is a great character in the party. So it's still a good banner to pull on if you need Reigns call, because both of the characters are definitely good enough to pull for. But they're not must pulls, except for Reigns LD I think is a must pull. So, and then the last banner is my boy Astos, and I am 100% pulling, going all in on him. If you've been watching me or other content creators, we've been talking about this guy for months. He is going to be the best damage dealer in the game, and he's going to be the #1 character I recommend everybody save for this month. So whatever your resources are at, you should plan them for Astos, and then whatever you have left over, that's what you can allocate to other banners, other characters, right? Now, what makes Astos so busted, right? He has a dark matter overhead. And what it is anytime he deals brave damage, he stores that damage up into the dark matter. And the reason why he's so busted is that all of his attacks, pretty much, the damage will scale on how much dark matter he has stored up. Now, there's a limit because the dark matter only can store up to whatever his max brave is. However, his BT effect removes the cap. So you can just stack dark matter for days, and that's what makes him so ridiculous, is you have the BT effect up and you get this dark matter so high that his damage is just going bonkers, off the walls, bananas, insane. So, and then his FR is like super easy to meet as well. It's just doing magic attacks and having a special buff, which I think for any character with an overhead, I think that's considered a special buff. So it's a very free and easy FR. So just, you guys can trust me in knowing that Astos is going to do insane unga bunga damage. And he's definitely worth pulling for. Yuna also will be here. I don't actually think she's getting Echo. I'm not sure. People were asking about on the community stream. It doesn't say Yuna rework or Echo here, so I don't know. Or does Yuna already have Echo? I don't think she has Echo, but anyways, I don't think Yuna's getting any type of rework. So I would say Yuna is a little bit more skippable. I'd say if you wanted Yuna, you already probably pulled for her, but she is still a very good support character. But Astos is really what you want here, okay? So to summarize, if I'm going to look at all this, right, in terms of pull plans, what should you do? I would say Astos is for sure number one. And then, as crazy as it is, you guys, with all this cool stuff here, I actually think this Aerith Penelo banner might be the number 2 banner to draw on. If you don't have them, it is such a strong banner. And it's crazy to say that I would never push a campaign banner this much, but these characters are worth it. They are so freaking good. So I would say Astos number 1, Aerith Penelo number 2. Now, a lot of you should already have these characters, so that might be a non-factor. But then after that, man, it might actually be Beatrix and Lightning, or like, once again, it really depends on these question marks, right? Like if it's Seproth, if it's Reigns and Quistis. But here's what I would say actually. After Astos, if remember we talked about Oron at the very beginning. If Oron shows up, he could be like tied for number 2. I would still take Aerith over, but then like maybe Oron would be after that. And then I'm really thinking like just this Lightning, Beatrix, or Seproth, because they would be coming so freaking early. And they're very, very good characters, right? But I like Beatrix over Lightning, and I like Seproth maybe as like another damage dealer, maybe if you after Astos. But Astos has got to be the number 1 damage dealer that you guys go for. So anyways, with that, very long poll planning video, but let me know what your plans are for this month. Once again, with those question marks in there, we really don't know. Let me know if you agree that you think the 6-man is going to be Reigns and Quistis, and what you think about maybe Seproth being in that intersecting wills, or do you think it's going to be something else? I'm curious to know what you guys think about all this kind of up in the air question mark stuff. So anyways, thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.